So SpongeBob is a show that never hesitated to delve into horror. But if there is one thing the internet is good at, it's taking everything even further. SpongeBob episodes at their worst got like Krabby Patty zombies and a 100-year-old scary vampire jump scare. The internet though, it did some stuff to SpongeBob. Hey! Just a warning here, this video is gonna go into some kinda messed up stuff. Like I said, it's way beyond where the show itself ever went, so like, trigger warning for everything, this is not your usual wholesome SpongeBob content. Creepypastas has been a thing since like, the beginning of the internet. That's probably not true, I'm just saying stuff, I don't know much about creepypastas, I just needed a segue. By far the biggest SpongeBob creepypasta though is called Red Mist, aka Squidward. So the story is that a person who worked at Viacom as an unpaid intern back in 2005 had early access to SpongeBob episodes, and the creepypasta tells us about him watching this lost episode. They were told that they were gonna watch Fear of the Krabby Patty, but this title card did not freak them out since they often used mock-up jokes title cards for unfinished episodes. This is just one of many video remakes of the creepypasta because, of course, no original episode exists. Although many claim to be the original. This one should be the first one though. A re-upload for sure, but supposedly the first video remake of the creepypasta Red Mist.
The Red Mist is coming.
Even though there are a lot of remakes, most of them are very similar. However, there are a few differences, such as the title card. The first one, for example, don't follow the creepypasta, with its title card saying the lost episode had happy music playing.
I wonder who that could be.
However, others do, and title cards of course also varies since none of these people have actually seen the lost episode and are just going off of words. My favorite remake intro, however, is this one, where they go against the original story by not having happy music and instead this really fitting dark track playing. I would honestly like to add that track to the ones I use in the background of my videos, it sounds amazing. Other remakes don't include the Scottish fish who appears in the start of the creepypasta telling Squidward that the Red Mist is coming. This creepypasta is obviously kinda goofy and yeah, but it's probably one of the best ones still. For one that is maybe not so great, let's take a look at this one. Okay, that's probably not a serious creepypasta, but there are so many of these lost episode. I watched SpongeBob at 3 AM back in 2005 and SpongeBob died type beats. Another SpongeBob creepypasta is SpongeBob bootleg.
Do you want bread, sir? They're heavy.
Here it comes.
This image was taken from a split-second frame in a corrupted bootleg of the SpongeBob SquarePants episode Dumped. Other than the image, the rest of the video is composed of incomprehensible jumbles of color, static, or just black screens. The audio seems to be a heavily distorted version of the audio from the original episode, with loud, droning buzzes occasionally interrupting it. The bootleg tape itself was found in December 2004 by a group of 5 teenagers from the city rummaging around in a trash can within an abandoned mental institution. Of these 5 individuals, 2 have committed one has gone missing, 1 refuses to comment on the tape, and the last hastily agreed to give paranormal investigators the tape shortly after being interviewed about and disappearances of the other 3 persons. The current whereabouts of the tape are unknown, and many who stare at this image for a long enough period of time claim to see SpongeBob blink. Oh shit, no more SpongeBob lore videos from this guy, I guess. My favorite of these videos is probably Rockmodo, but that's just because it's a video that's actually creepy. Even though the upload I found have "That guy poops" written on the right corner, since it's made by a YouTube pooper.
Hi, SpongeBob! The SpongeBob! SpongeBob!
The original video was titled YouTube Poop Spinspiel Goes into Horrifying Dimension, and yeah, it was a YouTube poop, but it's surprisingly, it's good, and especially creepy with plankton. I think just this image with the effects is a lot better than most other stuff in this entire video, to be honest, when it just comes to being scary. 7/25/2005 is a creepypasta about the episode Your Shoes Untied, where of course someone watched that episode back in 2005 and something weird happened.
I'm ready!
Hi, SpongeBob. SpongeBob.
This is hilarious to me, I can't really get scared by it. The same goes for SpongeBob. This has many names, many of which I don't really know how to pronounce, but it's basically just crazy images of SpongeBob. This one is probably the most iconic one, but there are so many of these that are just like insane drawings of our boy. Then we of course have to mention all the SpongeBob horror games that have popped up over the years.
Don't look behind.
SpongeBob's Day of Terror is a horror game taking place in rock bottom and sticking pretty close to the source material, with the player controlling SpongeBob, who needs to collect money for a bus ticket to get out of there.
I'm ready!
The friendly rock bottomite is not quite as friendly in this game, and he chases the player down.
This is harder than I thought.
3 AM at the Krusty Krab is a horror game based on the Season 2 episode Graveyard Shift, and similarly to SpongeBob's Day of Terror, the player, as Mr. Krabs, has to collect items and escape from the Krusty Krab before being caught by the Hashling Slasher. A lot of these SpongeBob horror games got very popular online through Let's Plays, which is where I saw a lot of them. By far the most extensive internet horror thing when it comes to SpongeBob gotta be the Bikini Bottom horror. That means nothing. I don't know if it's the most extensive, I can't even define extensive, but yeah, transitions not really my thing. Now I have avoided the Bikini Bottom horror ever since I first found out about it years ago, because it makes me so uncomfortable. See, I heavily disliked the Season 10 episode Feral Friends for multiple reasons, but mainly because I find it gross.
He ejects his own stomach from his body in order to eat his meal, where the primitive sea sponge filters nutrients and oxygen from bacteria particles.
And the Bikini Bottom horror is that taken to extreme levels.
Let me show you. Our stomachs extend out of our bodies, penetrating our prey.
You know this comic is something else when SpongeBob dies in like the first panels of the comic.
Now's my chance to make the monster pay for what he did.
After Sandy gets revenge and kills Patrick, he regenerates and becomes huge, but then Krabs becomes huge as well.
You forget yourself, Patrick. Crabs eat starfish.
And we find out that the secret formula is actually Patrick, since his lost limbs can regenerate into new stars.
But few know that a lost limb can regenerate a new sea star. You're gonna make me so much money.
And Patrick finds this out by eating a Krabby Patty that's like overcooked, and he gets the memories of that part of him back to himself, and then he starts killing people because of that.
Order up.
Oh boy.
He kills Krabs and goes to kill Sandy. Or like one of him goes to do that since he can multiply.
Get it off me!
This stuff is so gross, like ew, I hate this shit so much.
There are more stars in heaven than can be dreamt of in your philosophy, Sandy.
Squidward is super badass in this comic. I think he's supposed to be like a parody of Rambo, and when he locks in, he of course becomes a giant monster as well.
My razor-sharp radula will rip you to shreds. Welcome to the macro ecosystem.
Everyone dies in this comic. We got Mermaid Man getting his starfish ripped off, Larry getting consumed, and thankfully Bubble Bass getting packed. I gotta admit that this panel is kinda epic. There are some really cool art in the Bikini Bottom horror. I just can't look past how icky most of it makes it feel.
The tortured one is risen. Because of you, we missed our chance to rejoin. Now you will suffer the ultimate. What the?
There's some apocalypse survivor stuff. Plankton builds a giant mech suit, but he dies as well as one of the stars gets inside it.
When one of the cultists let hot wax spill onto his flesh, the cell never healed. That kind of detail a larger creature might overlook, but I tend to notice the little things.
Not every little thing.
There is some internal struggle with the real Patrick, who let this demonic entity do all this stuff, as he finds out that none of his friends knew that the Krabby Patties were made out of him.
But only Mr. Krabs knew what was happening to you. Squidward, SpongeBob, none of them knew that the Krabby Patties were made out of Patrick flesh.
SpongeBob comes back since he can regenerate as well, and he turns into a giant, disgusting, trypophobic monster.
N is for anywhere you think you're safe. You're not. Down in the deep dark sea.
The two titans clash, and Sandy becomes Mermaid Man and returns with Barnacle Boy and other survivors, and then every panel is like the most disgusting thing ever.
I'm sorry, Patrick. Him, the almighty power.
Then the story ends with the entity defeated and everyone being reunited, but there's an epilogue as well.
It's been 1 month since the battle ended. Bikini Bottom was all but destroyed. Some have stayed to rebuild their lives. Others moved on. But many can't move on.
And we see Pearl not quite being able to forgive Patrick for what he did to her dad. You know, Krabs, he like ripped his arms off and then aliened him.
I was talking to Patrick. He said this all started when he ate an undercooked Krabby Patty.
Is that so?
But you and I both know that you would never undercook a Krabby Patty.
We also find out that SpongeBob was a bad guy all along and started all of this by purposely feeding Patrick the overcooked Krabby Patty, like setting it all in motion. Then the last panel is pretty crazy, as Sandy cannot get away from her trauma of the whole thing.
After all the bloody horror of that alien world, I just wanted to be able to look up and see the stars again.
This comic is creative and it's cool to have a Lovecraftian take on SpongeBob, but I can't get over how sick it makes me. And it's not the only time the internet did something like this with SpongeBob. We got the Meat Canyon Secret Formula video, which is yet another internet thing where a SpongeBob character is what the Krabby Patty secret formula is made out of, and it's crazy.
No, don't leave me out. I need you, SpongeBob.
Go on and get yourself a handful.
It's not the first either. Adult Swim uploaded a video in 2016, which is a robot chicken cartoon called SpongeBob SquarePants Learns the Truth.
Krabby Patties are made out of crab!
Everyone knows Krabby Patties are me family's secret recipe, boy!
Then explain this!
And then there's the horror comic, also called Secret Formula, made by Pop-Tart Guap, where Plankton finally succeeds in stealing the formula, only to find out that it's made out of everyone. He runs out of the Krusty Krab in horror as a very scaring looking Krabs chases him. Plankton gets to SpongeBob's house, finds a dead Gary, and with the help of Karen he goes to rock bottom to try and find SpongeBob. The illustrations in this comic are so good. They capture rock bottom in a whole new way, which I personally find a lot closer to the original episode Rock Bottom than any of the later episodes where they returned. He finds SpongeBob like this. This part is so dark, it's really out there. SpongeBob apologizes to Plankton for always viewing him as a villain when Mr. Krabs was the villain all along. And then he asks Plankton to pull the kill switch. Plankton does it and cries as the door shuts and he hears Krabs on the outside. Krabs trash talks him for pulling the switch on SpongeBob and then leaves him in there until Karen comes to rescue him. His limbs have rotted from being exposed to the toxins from SpongeBob's corpse, and he is close to death, but Karen saves him by giving him robotic limbs, and now Plankton goes to get his revenge. As Krabs enters his office, he is grabbed by Plankton's robot suit from Krusty Love. Just like in the Bikini Bottom horror, Krabs' arms are ripped off. Krabs' last words are still shit-talking Plankton. Before taking out Krabs, Plankton says the kind of hard line, "I am nobody, but SpongeBob wasn't." He then kills Krabs and we see the epilogue, which is really sad. Seeing the aftermath of everything with the news report, Patrick missing Gary and SpongeBob, and Plankton even seeing them one last time before the illusion fades away. To end this video on a note that won't make me like throw up while editing, let's talk about what I think is probably the coolest video related to SpongeBob and horror. The fog is coming. This is a 57-second video uploaded at the start of 2023, and it starts very normally with SpongeBob, Squidward and Mr. Krabs dancing. But then everything changes when the boom thing happens. I don't know what it is about this video, but it's just so well made to me with the sound and how the imagery changes now. Then the last thing we see in the video is the shadows of SpongeBob and Squidward dancing in a red destroyed world. It's a short video and way less extensive than something like the Bikini Bottom horror, but to me it's kind of perfect. I will leave the link to it below, as well as links to every video and hopefully everything I talked about in this video.